crews worked really hard through the night to get this temporary electrical box up and running. However, they say a lot of the parts in here aren't made for a permanent fix. If you look behind me at this wall, this is where that woman's car crashed through. You can see it has since been repaired. There's a fresh coat of paint here. ODOT is so ready for today. They're standing by. If you look behind me, there's 3 plows here ready to go. Just in the last 5 minutes, I want to say, these snow flurries started coming down. Take a look behind me. You can see what we're seeing. Thankfully, Access recently expanded its warehouse, making even more room on the shelves. However, it's still a little worried about finding space for hundreds of thousands of pounds of extra food. Just about an hour ago, I could see the mountains through that plume of smoke. I can no longer see anything. Looking at the beautiful homes on this street, you'd never know the destruction that happened here 4 years ago. But when the people living here walk out their doors and a few steps down the road, they get a reminder of the fire and the day that changed their lives. Now, if you look over my shoulder, and we're going to zoom for you, you can see what we can see from here. You can see that caution tape through those trees. We're told that is the area where that man's body was found. Now, 5 years later, they say that number has jumped to 58. And while that might sound like a bad thing, Ashland police say that's actually exactly what they want. So tell me a little bit about why you believe this food and beverage tax is a better option to fund the police department than that utility surcharge. The owner here says his grapes are ready to be picked. However, they have nowhere to go. And when lawmakers and winemakers heard that, they showed up with clippers in hand to make sure no fruit is left on the vine. So whenever you walk in, you're greeted by this tree. On it are some unicorn-shaped ornaments, and staff members tell me that's because Olivia loved all things unicorn. You can see the tire tracks leading right into this family's fence. The man who lives here tells me he was outside in his yard working when he watched that driver lose control and crash into his property, landing just feet away from his son's bedroom. And after years of dealing with reckless drivers, he has a message for anyone driving by his home.
I can't do anything to protect my family.
Fritz Espy says that's up to the person behind the wheel. This home on a long stretch of Clover Lawn Drive has been in his family for years.
It's a beautiful spot. You know, that's why we chose to buy it. We're blessed to be able to buy a home and have somewhere for my boy to grow up in.
But a string of close calls over the years has him feeling helpless.
This would be number 3 totaled vehicles right here in the corner of this house.
Last night, he heard the all too familiar sound of an engine roaring past. Seconds later, he found himself trying to help the people trapped inside.
Me and several other people had to drag them both out the passenger side. It was a very unfortunate thing. 2 people very lucky to be alive.
The scene is deja vu from 2 other crashes, one of them landing right up against the family's home. After that, they put these cement blocks on their property, hoping to add a layer of protection. The long, flat stretch of road is unmarked for speed, leaving Espy feeling frustrated. He says he sees countless drivers going 65 and 70 miles per hour. He says the only thing he can do is hope their common sense kicks in. And if it doesn't, he's already making plans to add plenty of space between them and his loved ones.
I want the driveway to go across this creek, and our house would be another 150 feet off the road, and I'd turn this into a shop. And then if somebody wants to drive through it, go ahead.
In Grants Pass, Emma Balkenbush, NewsWatch 12. Chief O'Mara tells me getting a letter from Boley asking the department to make a few changes at academy training has never happened before and is no big deal. On the other hand, Ensley tells me it's a big deal to him. He says he did the math and is owed 60 hours in overtime. On top of that, he believes speaking up about it is what lost him his job.
My father is law enforcement. My grandpa is law enforcement, and my great-grandfather are all law enforcement.
And Daniel Ensley always knew he'd be the 4th generation in his family to wear the uniform. Growing up, he spent all his free time doing ride-alongs. After serving in the military, he knew it was his time. He got a job with the Ashland Police Department. His dream career started with a 16-week program at the State of Oregon Department of Public Safety Standards and Training, or DPSST. He says it was a few weeks into training when something didn't sit right with him about the way trainees logged their hours.
We're only to write 40 hours on our time cards. That's just, it's all going to balance out in the end, and just do it that way.
He says he asked a sergeant about it and was told there was no expectation of overtime. With just a few weeks left of training, Ensley was let go. for a reason he says he didn't believe. Chief O'Mara says he can't specify why he fired Ensley, but says it was not because of the bully complaint. Bully investigated the complaint and sent us its findings. The investigation revealed DPSST trainees do tend to exceed 40 hours per week. Bully found, quote, overwhelmingly, trainees are only paid for 40 hours per week. Chief O'Mara says the department will follow Bully's guidance to make corrections where they're needed.
It's not just APD, it's not just DPSST, it's every law enforcement agency in the state will just have to modify how it does stuff, and what that looks like exactly, I don't know, but it's not that big a deal. It's somebody giving us a course correction, and we'll take it and continue going forward.
In the meantime, Ensley isn't losing sleep over the overtime hours he never got, but the situation he found to be so ethically wrong.
I'm hoping that it starts to change, that we need to see there, where police officers are being taught to do the right thing and shown the right thing at all times.
In Ashland, Emma Balkenbush, NewsWatch 12.